Shout out to JD Pickle and on three for talking about one of my favorite college quarterbacks coming into the 2026 season. So much hype, so much potential around this guy. Last year there was a lot of hype about what they could do that season. It doesn't turn out how South Carolina wanted to. Y'all hear what I just said? South Carolina. Pretty sure I got the name right because I know my university, the university on my hat, is named USC. I think we're the real USC. Some people, there's real hate between these two programs. I think Shane Beamer, Lincoln Riley, gone ahead and schedule that on the schedule. Whenever it's coming up, because Lincoln Riley wants to pull out of the Notre Dame rivalry here and there. I'm not here to talk about some USC. We're here to talk about the boy, because Norris Charlotte. I wouldn't be making this video if it wasn't worthy about talking about. If you're tuning in right now, I thank you so much. Go ahead and do all the YouTubers say. I'm not gonna say it. But yeah, I'm not really happy with my head coach right now, Lincoln, man. He ended the 100-year rivalry. Like, that's crazy. Clemson and that's what I'm saying, man. Like, imagine if Clemson and South Carolina ended that rivalry. Like, I know, like, football is y'all bread and butter out there. Out here, y'all see how our stadiums look. Some games is minimal fans in there. All your stadiums all the time in the South, it's always packing, rocking, do whatever that song is. But yeah, they're always rocking in South Carolina. But it's real hate. It's probably some real hate. We haven't versed each other since the '80s, since we could afford to live in America. Hopefully we can get these prices down, man. Because my God, the gas killing a brother right now. My goodness. But yeah, man, Lannoris. I love Lannoris and his potential. When I first got introduced into Lannoris was the Alabama game about 2 years ago, and that wasn't really a good introduction of Lannoris because I had some real harsh things to say about him after that game. I was like, man, like because they got the onside kick, and I was going from like beat Bama, and then he threw that pick at the end to Damani Jackson. I think shout out Damani, but yeah, and the game was over. But he was real, like he was living. I thought he was living up to his last name, but I didn't know he was a redshirt freshman. I didn't know he was that young. I thought he was a junior at the time because I was real new to college football, and y'all in the South probably grew up on a lot of college football. Me, it was NFL first. Then I was like, oh my God, like 100,000 people just for this. NFL stadiums don't have 100,000 people in them. So I was like, this is kind of better than that, low key. I don't know where I stand on that right now, but yeah, I'm loving college football. So Lannoris, him and Shane Beamer, I love their connection that they have. Lannoris, he was hurt most of his high school career, and then he goes to some camps. That's when Shane Beamer sees him, says, "My God, this 6'3", 220 kid, I need him on my team." So he goes and gets him. His sits behind Shane or no Spencer Rattler for a year, then starts has a decent. The South Carolina has a decent year. Then last year they don't have their year goes how they didn't want it to. Almost beat Texas A&M. That game was crazy. You saw Nick Harbor and the potential he has coming into this season. If he can have one of those catches like he had against Texas A&M, a whole like just 10 games, hey, cool. Like if you have 12 touchdowns like that, hey, South Carolina might be rocking this year. So they bring their portal this year. They try to bring in some O line help. Try to bring because their O line last year was poop. It was terrible because they couldn't block for Lenore Sellers, and you saw last year how Lenoris was just breaking out of the pocket, and you saw that's when you see how like his upside is when he breaks out the pocket and how he can just shrug off D linemen like it's nothing, like it's just absolutely stupid. Virginia Tech, some game like I saw Virginia Tech was one of those games where you just saw like my gosh, if this kid can just put it all together, he could be so special. So they do bring in some O line help. Peak, but I think it's Jacarius Peak. He got hurt, so we'll see what happens with their O line. But their recruiting class this year, they got a lot of defensive help, and their transfer portal. That's where they focus on the offense. So we'll see how it plans out this year. But if you tune in for the first time, like I said, I thank you so much. And you saw like just about Shane Beamer and Lenore Stoll's like relationship. They like I saw it during SEC media days because I'm consuming so much college football now, guys. Like it's insane. Like the lore. Like people talk about lore with Star Wars and all these other franchises. I'll be like, no, like the lore is with college football, man. But yeah, that's why I saw like SEC Media Days. They were interviewing Shane Beamer, and Lannoris was there, and he was like, "Yeah, like I chose because he got a lot of offers going elsewhere, more millions to go other places." And he was like, "No, like my relationship with Shane Beamer, he loves me. He believed in me when no one else did, so he chooses to stay at South Carolina. So you love a quarterback like that." Their relationship kind of is similar to Marcel Reed and Elko a little bit. I don't know if I'm right on that, but it reminds me of that. So we'll see what happens this year for South Carolina. But yeah, if y'all liking it, we got a lot of hate, but like I said, if it wasn't worth me about talking about, I wouldn't talk about it. So Norris, hopefully you can put it all together this year, brother. I'm rooting for you. Even though you playing for South Carolina now, you and Shane Beamer. I like you two boys. So, and Shane Beamer, he might be on the hot seat if anything doesn't go right this year. So we'll see how South Carolina treats it. They're like, hey, we're out on you this year. It's like put up or shut up. So it might South Carolina, both coaches, Dabo and Shane Beamer, on the hot seat this year. So we'll see what happens with them. Let me know in the comments what y'all think could happen to them. Though. Shout out,
Going back to
shout out
last
JD though.
season, man, we did everything on this show when it came to buying stock in number 16 in Garnet, outside of buying the action figure.
Me too.
Like, I didn't get it, but I considered getting Lannoris Seller's tattoo. Something tasteful, probably right on the shoulder,
Man,
maybe a little chest piece. I don't know. I'm joking here. I'm coming from. The
they thought hey, the next coming to Cam Newton right here, man. Because 16, I was like, hey, this boy. When I first saw him against the Alabama game, I was like, 16 kind of weird. He's tall, 6'4". I thought he was a junior, but that boy was a redshirt freshman.
thing with Lannoris Sellers, why I'm not ready to give up on him after how bad last season went, where South Carolina went from 9-3 to missing a bowl game, and Lannoris Sellers was a part of that losing effort.
Yep.
I'm not imagining anything when it comes to projecting what he's going to be next season. I saw it. We all saw it with our very own 2-0 host in 2024, where he put South Carolina on his back through October and November and got them to 9-3 and the doorstep of the college football playoff, where your boy was at the front line saying, hey, let
Hey, and I like literally because let me just break this down real quick. I forgot who they were like South Carolina was battling with, but it was like it was my argument during that time when I really wanted South Carolina in that playoff, and I was just like, it should be how you lose games too, and that loss to Alabama. If they win that game, they're in the playoff. But I think they lost to Missouri that year, something like that. But that game against Alabama, I was like, if they, it should be it should be about you lose the games sometimes too, and you saw how they get the onside kick and they get it back. But the college football, the committee probably doesn't. They have other factors they put in and everything. I know it's about the wins and everything, but it should be about how you lose game. I don't know. Maybe
him in. Let him in. Let South Carolina get in the dance and see what 16 does in a 4-game
for some games, I would say just not all. I don't know.
run there to go play for a national
That
championship.
game
Not
was
saying
just
that would have
tough.
happened,
I
but
thought
I
y'all
would have
should have
loved
won
to at
that.
least see what would have happened if you put Shane Beamer and the boys in there in 2024. Like we saw it. We're not making things up. We're not projecting. We're not falling in love with the skill set, though that is nice in general as well. Like Lannoris Sellers threw grown men off of his body against.
JD, JD, he was throwing linemen. Like it was insane. This dude was like, oh my, just like it was nothing, like a video game. Like they literally play like the video game. If y'all play college football 25, Lannoris and Nick Harbor, that one play he had against Texas A&M, I be doing that in the video games with Nick Harbor. Like he just cheat. Like if he can just put it all together like that, I was like, okay, I've seen that before. Like, hey, if we can do this more often, it can be
A
we
team
can
that
put up
ended up
video
making the
game
playoff
numbers.
last year or 2 years ago and gave Texas a pretty good fight. Saw him will South Carolina to a win over A&M as well, throwing for over 240, running for over 100. Like we've seen all this. So my point in all this is to say, sometimes when it comes to players underachieving, we rely too heavily on what we thought we knew about them as recruits or what we heard about them from camp and the physical giftings. Lannoris Sellers has a lot of physical giftings, but there's actual like proof of concept to go with his game as well. So I think we say that, and we look at what next year should be for
He
South
needs to
Carolina.
work
Are
on
they
his
going to be
decision
awesome? I have
making
no
too.
idea. I have no idea. I would love
High
that
key
for
bad.
Kellen Beamer personally.
Not high
I
key
would
good.
obviously love that
Pretty
for
bad.
Lenora Sellers. But I think the path to them being better in general, Lenora Sellers being a lot better in general, is not that hard to see. Like my question, it sounds like a loser mentality kind of question, but like, can we just be average around Lenora Sellers? Because last year it was a joke offensively for them, dude. Like Shane Gillis levels of funny. It was a joke and a half. 3.3 yards a carry for South Carolina last year. 126th in college football.
They got some new running backs in there, like transfer portal running backs, one from Texas, one from Ohio State, but they don't have playing time. So when people say, hey, like, they're transferring from another school, it may be for like, is that the best decision for them? Or they're probably transferring because they weren't so good at the other school. But Texas, on the other hand, they probably got that running back out because they're bringing two new running backs in, Hollywood Smothers and Raleigh Brown from Arizona State. So yeah, we'll see how the running back from Texas do and the one from Ohio State.
Joke. 11% sack rate. 134th in college football. Ha ha joke. Stand up comedy joke. Your offensive coordinator, say what you want about how much blame you want to give him or not give him. The student body at South Carolina was protesting against the guy.
Mm.
You know how frustrating of an offense you have to be to watch? To have your student body field a protest against your offensive coordinator?
That's what I'm saying, man. Y'all take it real deal serious out there, man. Out here, we got so much other stuff to do. It's like, oh, you know what? I'll take my stress out at the coffee. Well, not the coffee shop, but like the beach or things like because that's what people do out here. These new techie guys,
Probably
or
pretty bad, would
I
be
want to
my
say
estimation of things.
something, but I'm not
So you
gonna
take
say
that
it.
information and look at next year. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be worlds better, but can we be better than 3.3 yards per carry, South Carolina? I would hope so. I would really hope so. Your offensive coordinator in Kendall Browse, I love that get for him, given his track record and how he calls the offense. He's going to maximize space for playmakers and get them isolated. He's also going to, I think, with how they use tempo and formations, I think they're going to do a pretty good job of making up for whatever South Carolina
I
is
don't know this
lacking
guy, but
from a
hopefully,
talent and
hey,
personnel
hopefully y'all
perspective.
rocking with
It's
them.
kind of been his MO his
This
entire
guy been a
career
lot of
when
places.
it comes to
My
Kendall Browse.
God, what was that? Florida
He's
State,
got a pretty good
Baylor,
track record when it comes to working with quarterbacks.
Arkansas,
You look at how they attack the portal
TCU. Dang.
offensively. Again,
Well,
I'm
he's a
not telling
quarterback
you it's
coach,
like the
so
best portal
yeah.
class that we've ever seen in the history of the sport, but 25 transfers for South
Mhm.
Carolina. Okay, so we understand we got to turn this thing over here pretty quickly.
Right.
Of those 25 transfers, 14 of those transfers are on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah.
Translation, Lannoris, we know.
But but the recruiting class is nice too now. Well, the recruiting class, that's where they focus on defense because there's a lot of edges, a lot of cornerbacks, a lot of linebackers in that recruiting class. So hopefully they're hoping that defense, some young starters, some young freshmen on that defense, some young gunners. So we'll see what happens.
What you are. We got to get you more help. And they did that. A couple like sneaky ads, like
Hmm.
Nitro Tuggle was a guy who once upon a time was at Georgia. He was
Oh, Nitro, they got Nitro. I didn't know he transferred from Purdue. Okay.
at
Okay,
Purdue.
Nitro.
He's going to be a receiver next year for South Carolina. Jaden Gibson was at Oklahoma, and they were pretty fired up about him once upon a time. He's now at South Carolina, another receiver for them. Like there's a couple of pieces where you
I
say,
remember
interesting,
Gibson. Yeah, he
interesting. I
didn't pan
don't
out
know if
when
that's again a
Gabriel
home
was there.
run acquisition, but it's enough to say I could see that working. And again, at the very least, I'm not asking anybody to be a game breaker for South Carolina outside of Nicholas Harbor. I just need us to be stable. Just give me a lot of neutrals around South Carolina and the Lawrence Stellars. Just give me, good enough, not going to screw it up.
No, that O line has to be, above average. But I don't think we can get that this year because Jacari's peak out. There's not a lot of returning starters from last year. Some guys come out, so
Not going to be a liability.
we'll see.
Because if that's the case, Lenore Sellers has proven he's good enough to then go take over games and will you to victories. Big reason why I was flirting with South Carolina being a playoff team a year ago in our preseason predictions. Now, didn't go there because I wasn't 100% sure about a lot of the things that ended up being what made South Carolina a team that missed a bowl game last year. But again, it goes back to can we be average around Lenore Sellers? How nice is that to ask a question about your quarterback? Can we be average around you? Because if we're average around you, you've proven now you are different levels of special if you're healthy and we support you
I don't know.
schematically to then go do special things.
Haven't they been getting average though? Like I get what you're saying, but the coach isn't looking for average. Shane Beamer isn't looking for average now. Like if you if you a coach, I get it on the field you gotta look average, but if you a coach asking for average, goodbye.
Right? So people sold their Lannoris dollar stock, not us, man. Not us. Maybe we took a little hiatus, took a little break, said, "Hey, let's have a not talking period for a little bit here." But man, we're back on. We're back on. I'm not back on South Carolina per se, but I am back on Lannoris Sellers being one of the best quarterbacks in the conference next.
Hopefully, bro. Hopefully Lannoris puts it all together because I'm tired of seeing my brothers out here. Tired of seeing my brothers not succeeding to their quarterback potentials. Hendon Hooker, I feel like he could live up to a potential, but he not do. Joey Milton, we failing our brothers out here at quarterback position. Come on, Anthony Richardson, what you doing? We need to succeed. I'm just playing.
I don't
But
care who
let's go,
knows it. I
Lannoris. Come
don't
on.
care who. I know it's only April. I don't care who knows it. Last thing I'll say: the sense of urgency for Lannoris Sellers gets me a little bit more optimistic about what he's going to be next year because I understand Lannoris
Imagine they turn him into a Randall Cunningham. Like that's like the that's his peak
Sellers, I believe, could come back for another year if he wanted to. This is probably the last year you want to play college football if you're
for
him.
sure.
Like, this is supposed to be your swan song, man. And a guy, too, who picks South
So many
Carolina having played
so many prove it years for so many guys in college
high
football.
school football in the state of South Carolina. It should be personal to him. There should be some heartstrings to be plucked here for the guy.
Hmm.
So, again, what does that mean? I don't know. But it makes me feel excited about what he could be because it means something extra to him to be at South Carolina. I promise you, he could have gone other places. Could have gone other places to play quarterback and gotten an absolute bag for it. But the fact that he stayed at South Carolina, still a Gamecock, I think that sense of urgency will serve him well and serve South Carolina well as a whole.
It's the relationship we had with Beamer, though. I mean, I don't think he would have got that relationship anywhere else. Maybe Baylor was offering some stuff. Texas Tech, ooh, I would have been because Texas Tech need a quarterback right now. But if you tuned in for the whole video, I thank you so much, y'all South Carolina fans. I know it's real hate, but you gotta love it. That's why you love the sport. For the hate, for the rivalries, for the love of the game. So thank y'all for tuning in so much.